So I would say for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been on a quest to come up with the most efficient and the most effective warm-up. When I first started this, I had kind of developed a warm-up that was very in-depth, but it just took a lot of time, and it almost morphed into a mobility session. And so as time has gone on, I have slowly been putting together, in my opinion, the most effective and the most time-efficient warm-up that you can use in any training session. Doesn't really matter whether it's upper body, lower body. This warm-up is going to prep you for whatever movement pattern you could be focusing on in your training session. And so as I was developing this, I knew I needed it to include all of the major movement patterns of the body. So the squat, the lunge, the hinge, vertical pushing and pulling, and then horizontal pushing and pulling, along with some trunk rotation. Before I give you the warm-up, I want to go into the key principles of what a warm-up should include, purpose behind it. So a quick look into the key principles of the warm-up are raise, activate and mobilize, potentiate. So we want to raise our physiological parameters. So that's going to be our heart rate, our blood pressure, just the temperature of our body, our joint fluid viscosity. We want to get all that raised up. The second thing is we want to activate and mobilize our joints. And so we want to push them through a full range of motion and also kind of mimic the movement pattern we're going to be taking them through in the training session. And then lastly, we want to potentiate our muscle groups. We want to help recruit as much motor units as we can from our central nervous system so we can produce the most amount of force as we go. So the rest of the video is what I've put together over the last 4 or 5 years of trying to find the most effective and the most efficient warm-up. Again, I knew that it needed to include the foundational movement patterns of the human body, which is the squat, the lunge, the hinge, vertical pushing and pulling, horizontal pushing and pulling, along with some trunk rotation. Along with the foundational movement patterns of the human body, I knew that it needed to include all 3 planes of motion, your sagittal, horizontal, and frontal planes. And then lastly, I knew that it needed to include some of those smaller movement patterns, such as your shoulder internal and external rotation, your hip internal, external rotation, hip adduction, abduction, ankle dorsiflexion. Some of those smaller movement patterns that often get neglected, but that are still essential for most training sessions and just for your overall athletic ability, functionality, and health. This is designed to be done under 5 minutes. All you need is your body weight and then a barbell, so you should be able to do this in any facility. And again, it's trying to incorporate and achieve the 3 key principles of the warm-up, which is to raise, activate and mobilize, and then potentiate. If you'd like the specific sets and reps for each one of these movements that I'm showing here in the video, feel free to DM me and I'll send you over the warm-up. Hope this helps.